Welcome back, coin hunters and treasure lovers. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. You might think pennies are just small change, but some of them are actually worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Hidden in old jars, coin collections, or even your pocket change, these tiny pieces of metal can carry incredible history and surprising value. In this video, we're going to explore some amazing coins that collectors are always searching for. From the famous wheat pennies to historic Indian head coins, each one has a unique story behind it. These coins were minted many decades ago, and some of them are extremely rare today. Because of their limited numbers, mint marks, and historical importance, their value has increased dramatically over time. Many people have discovered rare coins completely by accident. Imagine finding a simple penny in your collection and realizing it could be worth a small fortune. That's why coin collecting is not just a hobby. It's like a real-life treasure hunt. Every coin you check could be the one collectors are willing to pay big money for. In today's video, we'll look closely at several special coins, learn what makes them valuable, and find out how much they might be worth today. So make sure you watch until the end, because one of these coins might already be hiding in your collection. Let's get started. Coin number 1, 1901 Indian head penny. A coin from the final years of 19th century America. Some coins are remembered because they are rare. Some coins are remembered because they contain minting errors. But some coins are remembered because they belong to the final chapter of an important era in American history. The 1901 Indian head penny belongs to that category. At first glance, it may seem like just another old copper coin. Small, simple, and originally worth only 1 cent. But coins like this are far more than small pieces of metal. They are time capsules. They carry the story of the world that existed when they were made. And the 1901 Indian head penny was created during a fascinating moment in American history, the final years of the 19th century coinage era, just before the United States entered a new century of industry, innovation, and global influence. When this coin entered circulation, the world looked very different. There were no airplanes in commercial use. Radio broadcasting had not yet begun. Automobiles were still rare. Electricity was only beginning to spread through cities. Yet through all of that change, millions of small copper coins quietly moved through the American economy. They paid for everyday items: bread, milk, newspapers, streetcar rides, small purchases that defined daily life more than a century ago. At the time, nobody thought these coins would become collectibles. They were simply money. But today, collectors study them carefully, searching for the best preserved examples of this historic design. Because the Indian head penny series represents one of the most beloved chapters in American coin history, and the 1901 issue stands among the most widely collected coins of that series. The year 1901 marked an important moment in American history. The country had officially entered the 20th century, and the pace of technological change was accelerating. Cities were expanding rapidly. Railroads connected distant parts of the country. Factories were producing goods on a massive scale. Immigration was bringing millions of new people to American cities. At the same time, the United States was beginning to emerge as a global power. Just a few years earlier, the Spanish-American War of 1898 had changed America's role on the world stage. The nation now controlled new overseas territories. Industrial production was growing rapidly, and American cities like New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia were becoming some of the most important economic centers in the world. But daily life was still much simpler than it is today. People relied heavily on coins for everyday transactions. Paper money was less common for small purchases. That meant pennies were constantly circulating. And the Indian head penny was one of the most familiar coins in the country. Design details: small coin, strong symbolism. The 1901 Indian head penny is admired for its beautiful yet simple design. Obverse, front. The front of the coin features the portrait of Lady Liberty facing left. She wears a feathered headdress with the word Liberty written across the headband. Around the edge of the coin appears the inscription, United States of America. At the bottom appears the date, 1901. Collectors often examine the headband closely. On well-preserved coins, the letters in Liberty are clearly visible. But in circulated coins, these letters often wear down quickly. That makes the headband one of the most important grading indicators. Reverse, back. The reverse of the coin features a wreath design. An oak wreath surrounds the denomination, 1 cent. At the top of the wreath appears a small shield, a symbol of American unity and strength. This design gives the coin a classic 19th century appearance that collectors still admire today. What collectors look for. When collectors examine a 1901 Indian head penny, They focus on several key details. 1. The Liberty headband. The letters in Liberty are extremely important. If all the letters are visible, the coin likely has less wear. 2. Feather detail. Sharp feather lines indicate a higher grade coin. 3. Reverse wreath detail. The oak leaves in the wreath should show clear definition. 4. Surface color. Indian head pennies are made of bronze. They typically appear in brown, red-brown, red. Coins that still show original red color are especially desirable. 5. Original surfaces. Collectors strongly prefer coins that have not been cleaned. Cleaning often damages the natural patina. Market value, from cents to hundreds. The value of a 1901 Indian head penny depends heavily on condition. Typical value ranges include extremely fine, 70, 120, about uncirculated, 150, 300, mint state, MS63, 350, $700, gem mint state, MS65 red, $2,000, 49,000 plus. Again, the key factor is preservation. Coins that survived more than 120 years in beautiful condition are highly desirable. Mistakes that reduce value. Many people unintentionally damage old coins. Common mistakes include cleaning coins, polishing surfaces, using chemicals, scrubbing dirt away. Collectors strongly prefer coins with original surfaces and natural aging. Artificial shine often reduces value significantly. Where these coins are still found, even today, Indian head pennies sometimes appear in surprising places. Collectors occasionally discover them in old coin jars, family heirloom collections, estate sales, antique shops, old coin albums. Many people overlook them because they appear small and ordinary. But collectors know better. Every once in a while, an exceptionally preserved example appears where nobody expected it. What this coin represents. The 1901 Indian head penny represents the final years of a historic American coin design. It reflects a world that existed before automobiles filled the streets and before modern technology transformed everyday life. It represents America entering the 20th century, the industrial expansion of the late 1800s, the final chapter of the Indian head cent series. Millions were made, millions were spent, but the few that survived in beautiful condition now hold strong collector demand. The 1901 Indian head penny may seem like a small and simple coin, but history often hides in the smallest objects. This tiny copper coin traveled through the hands of Americans more than 120 years ago. Most were worn down by everyday use. Most were forgotten, but the few that survived in excellent condition now stand as valuable reminders of a different era. So the next time you come across an Indian head penny dated 1901, pause for a moment, look closely, because that small piece of copper might be carrying more history and possibly more value than you ever imagined. Coin number 2, 1954 wheat penny, a small coin from America's expanding economy. The 1954 wheat penny was minted during the booming 1950s economy. Factories were busy, cities expanding, highways under construction, and new neighborhoods appearing across the country. The American middle class was growing faster than ever, and millions of pennies quietly flowed through daily transactions, paying for a bottle of soda, a newspaper, a piece of candy, or a bus ride. At the time, no one thought these coins would become collectibles. They were simply money. But decades later, collectors study these pennies carefully, searching for the finest surviving examples, because time transforms ordinary coins into pieces of history. Today, the 1954 wheat penny holds an important place in the Lincoln cent series, especially in high-quality condition. America in 1954, a nation on the move. By 1954, America was nearly a decade past World War II and experiencing strong industrial growth. Factories that produced wartime equipment now manufactured cars, televisions, and household appliances. Cars rolled off assembly lines in record numbers, and suburban neighborhoods expanded rapidly. This was also the era of the baby boom. Families were growing, the economy thriving, and small coins like pennies played a crucial role in everyday life. Prices were lower than today, and a single penny could still buy real goods. Children used them for candy, adults for bus fares or vending machines. Because of this constant demand, the U.S. Mint produced enormous numbers of coins, including the 1954 wheat penny, the Lincoln wheat cent, a design that lasted half a century. By 1954, the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for 45 years. Introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's portrait became one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Before 1909, American coins rarely featured real historical figures. The Lincoln cent changed that forever and quickly became extremely popular. By the early 1950s, the coin had survived World War I, the Great Depression, and World War II. The wheat penny design would remain in production until 1958, making the 1954 penny part of the final years of this iconic series. Design details, simple and timeless. Obverse, front, Lincoln facing right. In God We Trust at the top. Liberty to the left. Date, 1954. Denver Mint mark D below the date if applicable. Collectors examine Lincoln's hair above the ear, cheekbone, and jawline, the areas most prone to wear. Reverse, back. Classic wheat ears design along the edges. Denomination, 1 cent. United States of America below. E pluribus unum at the top. Fine inner wheat lines often wear down quickly. Strong wheat lines and well preserved. Surfaces are key. Details collectors look for. Where the 1954 wheat penny was made. The 1954 penny was produced at 2 mints. Philadelphia, no mint mark. Majority of coins. Denver, D mint mark. Large numbers for western states. Because so many were produced, the 1954 penny is common in circulated condition. But high-grade examples tell a different story. A coin used by millions. In the 1950s, pennies were tools of everyday commerce. Children bought candy, adults paid for small items, and store clerks handled thousands weekly. Most 1954 wheat pennies were heavily circulated, resulting in worn details, faded wheat lines, and copper that darkened over time. Finding one in near mint condition today is rare. What collectors look for. Lincoln's hair detail above the ear. Sharp strands indicate minimal circulation. Cheek and jawline. High-grade coins show strong definition. Wheat line strength. Inner lines within wheat stalks indicate preservation. Surface color. Original red, red-brown, or brown. RD is most valuable. Original surfaces. Avoid coins that have been cleaned or polished. Market value. Condition changes everything. Because so many were produced, circulated coins are affordable. Extremely fine, $3. 8 or. About uncirculated, $10. 25s. Mint state, MS63. $40. $90. Gem MS65 red. $200. 20,000 plums. A single cent can become a serious collector's piece in perfect condition. Mistakes that can destroy value. Cleaning, polishing, chemical treatments, or scrubbing coins reduces their worth. Collectors prefer natural aging. Original coins are always more desirable. Where 1954 wheat pennies are found today. Even today, these pennies turn up in old coin jars, family collections, estate sales, antique shops, forgotten albums, bank coin rolls. Most are overlooked, but high-grade examples occasionally appear unexpectedly. What this coin represents. The 1954 wheat penny represents post-war prosperity, industrial expansion, the rise of suburban life, and the final years of the wheat penny design. Millions were made and spent, but only a few survived in excellent condition. These survivors now hold collector interest. The 1954 wheat penny may seem ordinary, but even the smallest coins carry history. Once used by millions of Americans during one of the most prosperous decades. The few that survived beautifully are now valuable reminders of the era. Next time you find a 1954 penny, take a closer look. It may carry more history and value than you think. Coin number 3. 1951's wheat cent. A copper coin from the early Cold War era. America in 1951. A world entering a new era. The year 1951 arrived during a complex period of global history. World War II had ended only 6 years earlier. The United States had emerged as one of the most powerful nations in the world. But a new geopolitical tension had begun. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union was shaping global politics. Meanwhile, American industry was booming. Factories that had once produced military equipment were now producing consumer goods at record levels. Cars, televisions, household appliances. Entire suburbs were expanding around American cities as families moved into new homes. The population was growing rapidly due to the post-war baby boom. The American economy was strong. Money was moving constantly through the system, and small coins like the penny were essential for everyday transactions. To meet that demand, the United States Mint continued producing enormous numbers of Lincoln cents. One of the mints responsible for that production was located on the West Coast, the San Francisco Mint, and in 1951, that facility produced the coin we now call the 1951 wheat cent. Design details, simple but iconic. The 1951 wheat cent carries one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. Obverse, front. The front of the coin features the profile portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing to the right. Several inscriptions surround the portrait. "In God We Trust" appears along the top edge of the coin. To the left of Lincoln's portrait appears the word Liberty. On the right side appears the date, 1951. Directly beneath the date is the small mint mark S, indicating the coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint. Collectors carefully examine Lincoln's portrait for several important details: hair strands above the ear, sharpness of the cheekbone, definition along the jawline. These are the first areas to show wear when coins circulate heavily. Reverse, back. The reverse of the coin features the famous wheat ears design. Two curved wheat stalks frame the edges of the coin. Between them appears the denomination, 1 cent. Below that is the inscription, United States of America. At the top of the coin appears the national motto, E pluribus unum. The inner wheat lines are extremely thin. Because of this, they often wear down quickly when coins are used in circulation. Strong wheat lines are one of the most important details. Collectors examine when grading these coins. The San Francisco Mint. The S mint mark on the 1951 S wheat cent tells us the coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint. The San Francisco facility played an important role in producing coins for the Western United States. In 1951, the Mint produced approximately 136 million Lincoln cents. That might sound like a massive number, and it was. But almost all of those coins entered circulation immediately. They moved through grocery stores, gas stations, movie theaters, restaurants. Each transaction slowly wore away tiny details from the coin's surface. Over the decades, most examples became heavily circulated, which means high-quality surviving examples are far more difficult to find today. A coin built for daily life. In the early 1950s, pennies were essential to everyday commerce. Prices were much lower than today. A penny could still buy real goods. Children used pennies to buy candy. Adults used them in vending machines. Bus fares sometimes included pennies as part of the price. Because of this heavy use, coins circulated constantly. They were stored in cash drawers, pockets, jars, and purses. Over time, their surfaces developed scratches, wear, and discoloration. The bright copper color slowly darkened into brown. Lincoln's portrait lost its sharpness. The wheat stalks faded. That's why most surviving 1951 wheat cents today show heavy circulation. But occasionally one appears that looks almost untouched. And that's where collectors become very interested. What collectors look for. When collectors evaluate a 1951 wheat cent, they focus on several important details. 1. Lincoln's hair detail. Sharp hairlines above Lincoln's ear indicate minimal circulation. This is one of the most important grading indicators. 2. Cheek and jawline. High-grade coins show a strong separation between the cheek and jaw. Circulated coins often appear smooth in this area. 3. Wheat line strength. Collectors examine the thin inner wheat lines on the reverse. When these lines remain strong and clear, the coin has likely seen very little wear. 4. Surface color. Copper coins are classified by color: brown, red-brown, red. The bright original red color is the most valuable. Most coins darken with age. Finding a fully red example decades later is uncommon. 5. Surface preservation. Collectors prefer coins with original, untouched surfaces. Cleaning or polishing dramatically reduces value. Natural aging is always preferred. Market value. When condition matters. Because millions were produced, most circulated 1951 wheat pennies remain affordable. However, condition dramatically changes their value. Typical price ranges include Mint State, MS63, $40, $90. Gem Mint State, MS65 Red, $200, 6,000 plus. Exceptional red examples can sometimes sell for even more at auction. Again, the biggest factor is condition. A coin once worth a single cent can become a valuable collector piece if preserved carefully. Common mistakes that destroy value. Many coins lose value because of well-intentioned but harmful actions. Common mistakes include cleaning coins, polishing copper surfaces, using chemicals to brighten color, scrubbing dirt away. Collectors prefer coins with natural aging and original surfaces. Artificial shine often signals damage. What this coin represents. The 1951 wheat cent represents an interesting moment in American history, a time when the nation was transitioning from wartime production to economic growth. It represents post-war recovery, industrial expansion, the early Cold War era, the final decade of the wheat penny design. Millions were produced, millions were spent. But the few that survived in excellent condition now carry real collector interest. The 1951 wheat cent may appear ordinary at first glance, but history often hides inside the smallest objects. This tiny copper coin once moved through the hands of everyday Americans during a time of economic growth and global change. Most were worn down by years of use. Most were forgotten. But the few that survived in beautiful condition now stand as valuable reminders of that era. So the next time you find an old wheat penny dated 1951 with a small S mint mark, take a closer look, because that small piece of copper might be carrying far more history and possibly more value than you ever imagined. Coin number 4. 1953 wheat penny. A quiet coin from America's post-war boom. At first glance, it looks ordinary. A small copper coin, 1 cent, the kind of coin millions of people once carried in their pockets every single day. But coins are more than metal. They are witnesses to history. And the 1953 wheat penny was born during one of the most optimistic periods in modern American life, the early years of the post-World War II. Economic boom. Factories were running, families were growing, suburbs were expanding, and millions of these pennies quietly moved through the American economy, paying for everyday items that defined daily life in the 1950s. Candy, bus fares, newspapers, soft drinks, small purchases that now belong to another era. At the time, no one thought these pennies would become collectible. No one imagined that decades later, collectors would carefully examine them under bright lights, searching for the best surviving examples. But time changes everything. And today, the 1953 wheat penny has become an important part of the Lincoln Cent series, especially when preserved in exceptional condition. America in 1953, a new era of prosperity. The year 1953 marked a powerful moment in American history. The country was no longer fighting a global war. Instead, it was building a modern future. This was the beginning of what historians often call the Golden Age of American economic expansion. Factories that once produced tanks and aircraft were now producing cars, refrigerators, televisions, and household appliances. New highways were being planned. Suburban neighborhoods were spreading across the country. The American middle class was growing rapidly. In January of that year, Dwight D. Eisenhower became the 34th President of the United States. His presidency symbolized stability and confidence after years of global conflict. Meanwhile, technology and culture were evolving quickly. Television ownership was exploding across the country. Rock and roll music was beginning to take shape. American industry was stronger than ever. And in the middle of all that economic growth, the United States Mint continued producing one of the most familiar coins in American history, the Lincoln wheat penny. Design details, simple but iconic. The design of the 1953 wheat penny is simple, elegant, and instantly recognizable. Obverse, front. The front of the coin features the profile of Abraham Lincoln facing to the right. Around the portrait are several inscriptions. In God We Trust appears along the top rim. Liberty appears to the left of Lincoln's portrait. The date 1953 appears on the right side. If the coin was struck in Denver, a small D mint mark appears beneath the date. Lincoln's portrait shows important details collectors examine carefully. Hair above the ear, cheekbone definition, jawline sharpness. These details are the first areas to wear down when coins circulate. Reverse, back. The reverse features the famous wheat ears design. 2 wheat stalks curve upward along the left and right edges of the coin. Between them appears the denomination, 1 cent. Below that is the inscription, United States of America. And at the top rim appears the national motto, E pluribus unum. The inner wheat lines are very thin. Because of this, they often wear down quickly during circulation. Strong wheat lines are one of the key indicators collectors look for when evaluating condition. Where the 1953 wheat penny was struck. The 1953 wheat penny was produced at 2 major U.S. mint facilities. Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark. Philadelphia produced the largest number of coins. Hundreds of millions entered circulation. Denver Mint. D mint mark. The Denver Mint also struck a large quantity of pennies that year. Because both mints produced such high numbers, the 1953 penny is not considered rare in circulated condition. However, when you start looking at high-grade examples, the story becomes very different. Market value, from 1 cent to hundreds. Because the 1953 penny was produced in large numbers, circulated examples remain affordable. But condition dramatically changes value. 1953 Philadelphia, extremely fine. 3, 8, about uncirculated. 10, 25. Mint State, MS63. 30, 75. Gem Mint State, MS65 red. $200, 20,500 plus. 1953 D, Denver. Values are similar, though premium red examples can reach higher prices. Gem examples sometimes sell for hundreds of dollars at auction. Again, condition changes everything. A coin worth 1 cent in circulation can become a serious collector piece when preserved perfectly.
The 1953 wheat penny may appear ordinary at first glance, but history often hides in the smallest objects. This tiny copper coin once traveled through the hands of everyday Americans during one of the most prosperous periods in the nation's history. Most were worn down, most were forgotten, but the few that survived in exceptional condition now stand as valuable reminders of that era. So the next time you come across an old wheat penny dated 1953, take a closer look, because that small piece of copper might be carrying more history and more value than you ever expected.